How's everyone doing today? It's your boy JJ Domination, and oh, look at how the tables have turned. So last week, Aaron on his channel, by the way, that's CrewBeast242. You can go check him out on YouTube. It's Crew_Beast242. So last week he did a video without me on wildcard weekend, and oh, how the tables have turned this week. I'll be doing the divisional round without him. He was supposed to do it with me sometime tonight. He's not on. I'm gonna go ahead and do it because I got stuff to do. So without further ado, we're going to go in chronological order in terms of what time the games are showing. As you can see at the bottom of the matchups, the Colts-Chiefs game comes on first, and we'll be ending divisional round weekend with the Eagles-Saints. So I'm going to talk about each game briefly, give a prediction. I'll do a score for fun, and that's going to be that. So here is the first game right here. So we have the Indianapolis Colts, who are 10-6. They are the 6th seed, taking on the 1st seeded Kansas City Chiefs at 12-4. Now, this is a very interesting game. The Chiefs are well rested, of course. They just had a bye week, but the Indianapolis Colts are arguably, may not even be an argument, they're the hottest team in football right now. This was a team who started the NFL season, I believe, at 1-5. And they finished the year 10-6, and they just beat a division rival in Houston 21-7. And I think Houston's a pretty good team, and they're going to be taking on the Kansas City Chiefs, who on offense, they are electric, okay? They're probably the best offense in the NFL. Patrick Mahomes, 50 touchdowns, 500 yards. He's the first quarterback to put up that stat line since Peyton Manning, like a while ago. I can't really remember when he did it. I want to assume it was 2013, but we're not going to make assumptions here. And anyway, I'll read that message that I got later. But anywho, Kansas City, really good on offense. They've been able to run the ball to some degree, but of course, after they moved on from Kareem Hunt due to legal issues surrounding him, that on the off the field controversy, they have Damian Williams in their backfield. They have a nice running back by committee, but it's not Kareem Hunt who has been holding it down. So, you know, that could be the difference maker. And also, Kansas City on defense, not really that good in the secondary. They do have Chris Jones and D Ford, who have been killing it off the edge this season. I believe Chris Jones had around 15 sacks, and D Ford had around 12 roughly. So they're one of the better pass rushing duos in the NFL number-wise, but behind probably Von Miller and Bradley Chubb. So Kansas City has their work cut out for them, and of course they have one of the best play callers in Andy Reid. And from the Colts point of view, first-year head coach, but very experienced. He's been on some really good coaching staffs, but his name is Frank Reich. He was on the Philadelphia Eagles coaching staff last season, so he does know a thing or two about a thing or two. And, you know, Andrew Luck, he has been playing arguably like an MVP. I wouldn't say he is the MVP. I would give that to Patrick Mahomes. But he has definitely been playing like an MVP. And also Marlon Mack. He has been running the ball very well in this past, few weeks. And this is when you want to get it going. Marlon Mack, I mean, all the rumors, is Le'Veon Bell going to go to the Colts? Are they going to pick up a big-time running back? And you know what I'm saying? Marlon Mack just picking up the production. Ever since December came around, he has just been running wild. And he had the most rushing yards last week out of anybody in Wildcard Weekend that played. And that includes Zeke and a couple of other notable guys. He had 148 yards last week. So the biggest question for me about this matchup, before I give my pick and my score, the biggest question for me: can Andy Reid lead the Kansas City Chiefs to their first home playoff victory since the 90s? Yeah, the last time the Kansas City Chiefs won a home playoff game was in the 90s. Joe Montana was the quarterback. That's how long ago it was. And ever since then, you know, I think they're 0-6 or 0-7 in home playoff games. And Andy Reid not really had the best of luck in the postseason. Yeah, he's played in a lot of NFC championships back when he was coaching the Eagles. He does have a Super Bowl appearance. But as of recently, man, he is just not... I don't know. It's like he's allergic to postseason success. Last year, they were highly seeded against the Tennessee Titans. On Wild Card Weekend, they get eliminated. And the year before, it's like they beat the Texans, and then they lose to somebody else, and they lose to somebody else. And, you know, with the Chiefs, it's like we're just waiting on them to get that one victory. We have seen 6-seeded teams beat number 1 seeded teams before, and you're going to hear me bring this up with another matchup later on. The last 6-seeded team to beat a number 1 seed, I believe, was the Green Bay Packers. They beat the Atlanta Falcons 48-21, and they went on to win the Super Bowl. Now, only 2 6-seeded teams have won a Super Bowl. One of them, I believe, was the Pittsburgh Steelers back in 2005, and of course this variation, the 2010 Green Bay Packers. But wildcard teams in general, teams that play in the wildcard, only 6 Super Bowl winners. The last one, the 2010 Green Bay Packers. So basically what that tells you, what is this, Super Bowl 53 they're playing in? Super Bowl 52? Yeah, what this tells me is 6 out of 52 years of Super Bowl play, a wild card winner has won it. Those odds are not good. You know, that's like, here, let me pull up my calculator. I'm pretty sure that's around 10%. But we're going to go ahead and do the official math. So 6 divided by 52. Actually, that's 11.5%. So 11.5% of wildcard teams go on to win the Super Bowl. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and give the Indianapolis Colts the win against Kansas City. As you can read right here under the date where it says January 12th at 4:35, it says the last time the Colts and the Chiefs met in the playoffs, Luck led a 28-point comeback. That's true, man. That game was in Indianapolis, so it wasn't in Arrowhead Stadium. So that's going to be interesting. So I'm going to give the win to the Colts. What would the score be in my mind? I think both teams can definitely put up 30. But I'm going to go 34-30 Colts. Their defense has actually been playing better. And on offense, I mean, that offensive line, let me tell you, Quentin Nelson, there's some film out there floating around the internet of him just bullying Jadeveon Clowney. Jadeveon Clowney is one of the best edge rushers in football. Okay? He's one of the best edge rushers in football. And Quentin Nelson just bullied him. Okay? He's a guard. So Jadeveon Clowney had to line up in the 3-4 defense as a defensive end. So he's technically playing D-tackle. Jadeveon Clowney got absolutely destroyed by Quentin Nelson. Quentin Nelson could do the same thing to Chris Jones. I mean, we could see Chris Jones get absolutely destroyed in this game. And regardless of what people want to say about this is a quarterback's league, it's all about the receivers. Hey, man, this Colts offensive line is telling you, if we give Andrew Luck enough time, he can make it happen. And T.Y. Hilton and Eric Ebron are having, you know, I wouldn't say T.Y.'s having a career year, but Eric Ebron sure as hell is having a career year. I'm going to pick the Colts to win 34-30 against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, this game right here, this game is going to be on Fox. So it's going to be interesting. Of course, right here, they do give you a fun fact. The Rams defense forced a takeaway on 16.9% of all drives, but Dallas committed only 17 turnovers all year. So that's going to be an interesting matchup right there. In my opinion, these two teams match up pretty well. Now, I know you're expecting me to come on here and say Rams are going to kill the Cowboys and the Cowboys are one and done, one win and out of here. I know you're expecting me to say that. And this matchup to me is just very tough to call. This is probably the toughest matchup for me to call just because of the facts. I mean, to me, the Cowboys match up way better against the Rams than they would have the Saints for a second time. And I know Cowboys fans were like, oh, we would love to face the Saints again and blah blah blah. The Saints, we beat them before, we could do it again. It's so hard to beat a great team twice. So I feel like for Dallas, this is the best outcome they could have wished for, was facing the Rams. If the Bears would have just won their game, the Cowboys would have been facing the Saints, and in my opinion, I think the Saints would have won that matchup. So now that they're facing the Rams, I think they're evenly matched against them. My only concern is you got to get pressure on Jared Goff. This Rams offensive line is pretty solid for the most part. So if DeMarcus Lawrence is able to wreak havoc, he is the captain on that defensive line. If he's able to get home, it's going to be a rough day for Jared Goff. The Rams barely use their tight ends, so for the linebackers, it's going to be like a quiet day in terms of having to worry about tight ends catching the ball. I think they have like the lowest tight end usage rate in the NFL. Like, they don't even throw it to them. They don't even come up with catches that often. But to me, for the Rams, the unsung hero, everyone's thinking it's going to be Todd Gurley showcase. It's going to be Brandon Cooks. To me, the unsung hero is going to have to be Robert Woods. Robert Woods is just one of those receivers who can run routes really well. His speed isn't necessarily the greatest. He's not particularly great at anything, but he's a really good route runner. He knows how to get open. And when he gets the ball in his hand, he can catch it. He just hangs on to it. He's just a reliable receiver who is underrated, in my opinion. And I will be doing an underrated team when the Super Bowl ends. I'll be putting like the most underrated players, in my opinion, on a team. Not underrated in terms of Madden, but in terms of where they're positioned in the NFL. So that should be interesting. Who do I think is going to win this game? To be honest, the Rams need to win this game. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pick the Rams. So in my opinion, the Rams, this is a must-win game for them. This is a must-win game for Sean McVay. Everyone in the NFL, including my Green Bay Packers, are hiring Sean McVay guys. If you have worked for Sean McVay or have been associated with Sean McVay, you are getting hired in the NFL. I mean, this is the ultimate time where it's like, oh, well, if you know them, then yeah, you're getting hired. So if the Rams lose to the Cowboys after having a first-round bye, that's going to be an embarrassing look, because the Rams last year in the playoffs, they made a wild card against the 6th-seeded Falcons, and the Falcons just beat up on the Rams. They beat them. So that was Sean McVay's first playoff game, and they lost. So this is going to be a huge test for Sean McVay. Jason Garrett and the Cowboys, they've already overachieved. I mean, there was a point in the year where they weren't going to win their division, and then Alex Smith decides, that his leg was going to break. The Eagles aren't playing their best football, and then the Giants just suck. So the Cowboys, to their credit, they were able to win games. They were able to catch fire at the right time, and they are in the position they are now. And fun fact, they are the best defense remaining statistically in the NFL. That's right, all top 5 scoring defenses are no longer in the playoffs. The Ravens, I'm going to try to remember the order. I think it's like Bears, Ravens, Titans, Jaguars, and Texans. Yeah, all 5 teams. Obviously, 2 of them didn't make the playoffs. The other 3 did, and they all got eliminated. So just goes to show you it's not all about the defense sometimes. It just isn't. I'm going to pick the Rams to win. I think it'll be a 20-13 or a 20-17 game. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go 2017. 2017 Rams. I think it'll be a low-scoring game. The Cowboys, the magic number for them is 20. If you could hold them under 20 points, they will lose. I think every time they've scored 20 points, they've won, except for like one time this year. So that's the magic number. You got to hold them under 20. And Dallas, they are the 6th-ranked scoring defense. I think they give up slightly 20, like 20.1. So I think for the Rams, you just got to get the 20 and keep them under 20. Next up, we got the LA Chargers, who are the 5th seed, at the New England Patriots, who are the 2nd seed. By the way, the Cowboys were the 4th seed, and the Rams are the 2nd seed, for those that were wondering. So, the LA Chargers. Okay, looking at the roster, you would say the Chargers have the better roster. I mean, they have the better running back. They arguably have the best receiver in this matchup. Hunter Henry's being activated, so you'll have fresh legs out there at tight end. The offensive line's kind of neck and neck for both teams. On defense, I mean, the Chargers have the best pass rushers, they have the best linebackers, they have the best cornerback tandem, they have nice young safeties like Derwin James. But the ultimate outliers in this matchup are Tom Brady and Bill Belichick in home field advantage. To me, this is screaming Patriots win, but this is more like Patriots survive. But I am going to go with the Patriots to win. I'm going to pick them to win 28-26. But here is something for Anthony Lynn and Phillip Rivers to do. I'm going to need y'all to do this, okay? I would like the Chargers to win, but I think the Patriots are going to win. So I'm going to pick the Patriots to win. But here's the thing. Okay? Anthony Lynn. People consider Anthony Lynn to be a good football coach. And the record of 12-4 would say that. You're a good football coach, Mr. Anthony Lynn. He is. But do you want to be a great football coach? Beat Bill Belichick in the playoffs. And to me, you will have solidified that status of being a great quarterback. Phillip Rivers, we already know Phillip Rivers is a great quarterback. He's arguably one of the most underrated quarterbacks ever. He's arguably one of the best all-time quarterbacks to never win a Super Bowl. But you see, every time you talk about Phillip Rivers, there's always an asterisk. Most underrated. Best to never win a Super Bowl. There's always an asterisk. No one just flat out calls Phillip Rivers the best ever, the greatest ever. You want to prove you're the greatest ever? The Chargers need to beat the Patriots, and you got to play some of your best football. If you want to be in that elite category and sick and tired of being the captain of the Tier 2 category, then you need to beat Tom Brady. You and your Chargers need to find a way with a better roster to beat Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. Because in your career, in Phillip Rivers' career, whenever Phillip Rivers and the Chargers face Tom Brady and the New England Patriots, Phillip Rivers' team is 0-7 all time against the against the Patriots. So the Chargers are 0-7 all time against the Tom Brady led Patriots. So the way that I look at this matchup, Phillip Rivers, you guys have to find a way to beat the Patriots, and you have to play some of your best football. And Anthony Lynn, if you want to prove that you are not just a good coach, but you're a great coach, you got to find a way to get Bill Belichick out of the AFC playoff picture. And I think a win against New England in Foxborough will do it. But the Patriots, man, I mean, they have the three best factors. Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and home field advantage. That is a recipe for a Patriots win. And a fun fact, by the way, whenever the Patriots score first, they go on to win 93% of their games. So, Chargers defense, if you happen to go out on defense, don't let them score, and tell your offense to put up 3 first. But the Patriots are also really good from playing from behind, but you don't want to play the Patriots with your offense being behind. But I am going to go Patriots 28-26, but I definitely want the Chargers to win, but I have to go with the smart pick. And finally, the 6th-seeded Philadelphia Eagles will be taking on the number 1 seeded New Orleans Saints. The Saints find themselves in a great position. Home field advantage throughout the playoffs. You play in a dome. You have Sean Payton, one of the best minds in the modern era. You have Drew Brees, one of the greatest all-time quarterbacks. You have Michael Thomas, who is a top 10 receiver. You have the best running back duo of Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara. You have a solid offensive line. On defense, you have a nice rotation of defensive linemen, from Alex Okafor to Tyler Davidson to David Onyemata, I should say. You have Cameron Jordan. I mean, you have a nice rotation. Marcus Davenport, who you drafted at 14 overall. At linebacker, you have guys like Demario Davis, who are pretty good. And then your secondary, you have Marshawn Lattimore and Marcus Williams, who could be X factors in this game for you. But man, Philadelphia, it's something about Nick Foles and a Philadelphia Eagles jersey I just don't understand. It's like he's a different player when he's in a Philadelphia Eagles jersey. Who remembers the time he was playing for the Rams and the Chiefs? He was garbage. The man was absolute garbage when he played for the Rams. He got beat out by Case Keenum. On the Chiefs, when he had to come in and play for Alex Smith, he was absolute dog shit. He was bad. And all of a sudden, he gets his powers back. He puts on this Eagles jersey. And he has the all-time highest passer rating in the playoffs. That's what it says right there. Nick Foles, the NFL's all-time leader in playoff passer rating. And not only that, Nick Foles, 11-2 since coming back to the Philadelphia Eagles, including the postseason. I don't know what it is, man, but whenever Nick Foles enters the lineup, it's like the Eagles just know how to win football games. And Carson Wentz went down. Okay, this team was like dead in the water. I think they were like 5-7, or like 5-8 or something. But anywho, we're gonna get to the fun part. So they had 3 games left in the season. Okay, they had to beat the Rams. Check. They do that with Nick Foles at quarterback. They had to beat the Texans. Check. They did that with Nick Foles at quarterback. Finally, you had to beat Washington and hope that the Bears, who you would face in the wild card matchup, beat the Vikings so that way you could get into the playoffs. Check. Check. Both of those things happen. Okay, now you have to face the number 1 defense, the hottest defense in football with Khalil Mack. Check. Don't let Khalil Mack get a single sack on Nick Foles. Check. Win the football game. Doink. Doink. Check. Yes, Cody Parkey missed a 43-yard field goal that bounced twice off the goalpost that the NFL was ruling a tipped field goal. Very interesting stuff right there. But man, this is tough. Here's my question. Can the Eagles do it again? Can they go on another crazy Super Bowl run? I don't know. But man, would it be entertaining as hell if they did. What if the Eagles just go on another Super Bowl run and they absolutely just tear it up? That would be insane. Just imagine the Eagles go on another Super Bowl run. They're the 6th seed. And who's to say they can't beat the Cowboys or the Rams if they somehow upset the Saints? Who's to say they can't beat the Rams? They already beat them this season. Yeah, they're 0-2 against Dallas, but Dallas with Carson Wentz, not Nick Foles. Nick Foles, we all know, is a winner. 11-2 with Nick Foles at the lineup. We know it's all not Nick Foles, but we know it's all not because of Nick Foles. We know that. But for some reason, it's like they just know how to win with him in the lineup. It's almost like the offense is so simple with Nick Foles in the lineup. It's not just 5-yard, 6-yard, 7-yard, 10-yard passes to Zach Ertz every play. I mean, he actually throws it to Alshon Jeffrey. He actually knows how to get the ball to other people than Zach Ertz. And then this defensive line. This Eagles team has a lot of experience, and so does the Saints. They were both in the playoffs last year. Man, just imagine if the Eagles beat the Saints and Dallas or the Rams, because one of those two have to face Philly if they were to potentially win. Who's to say the Eagles can't get back to the Super Bowl? In my opinion, in a high-stakes game, I would take the Eagles over the Cowboys. I know, call me crazy. I would. And then against the Rams, well, they already beat the Rams this year. Doug Peterson, has a better resume in the playoffs than Sean McVay. So I know who I'm taking. Doug Peterson and the Philadelphia Eagles. who are more experienced. But man, I can't pick the Eagles, man. I can't pick the Eagles. I'm gonna go with my guy, a team that I picked to go to the Super Bowl going back to August, the New Orleans Saints. I gotta stick to my pick. I gotta be consistent. I'm picking the New Orleans Saints to win this game. They're at home. This is the 11th game Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints are going to be playing in a dome, indoors. They played 8 home games, of course. They were at the Falcons playing a dome, and they were at the Cowboys, I believe. The Cowboys play in a dome. So that's 10 games indoors. And they'll be playing game number 11 indoors. So, no weather to worry about. I'm excited to see what both these teams do. The Eagles, there's just something different about them. You look at their record, it's like, 9-7, so they're really, slightly above average. But they don't play like it. The defensive line is just hungrier, it seems like, and, they're playing. The Saints, they didn't play their best of football in December. The Eagles were on an absolute tear in December. And sometimes you got to go with the hot hand, but I'm going to go with the home team in this one. I am going to go with Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints. And I'm going to pick the Saints to win 27-20. No, 27-24. I want to keep things interesting. I am going to pick the Saints, though. So, just to recap, I am taking the Indianapolis Colts, the 6th-seeded Indianapolis Colts, to beat the Chiefs. I'm taking the 2nd-seeded Rams to beat the 4th-seeded Cowboys. I'm taking the 2nd-seeded Patriots to beat the 5th-seeded Chargers. I'm taking the number 1-seeded Saints to beat the 6th-seeded Eagles. So, based on my predictions, I would have the Indianapolis Colts taking on the New England Patriots in the AFC Championship game, and I would have the Los Angeles Rams in a rematch against the New Orleans Saints in the NFC Championship game. Now, last week I was pretty bad in my wild card predictions, so we'll see. Even if I get like a couple of them right, even if I get 2 of them right, that's okay with me. Like, if I get these 2 right and I happen to get these 2 wrong, I'm perfectly fine with that. But it is what it is. So my official picks: Colts, Rams, Patriots, Saints. So I have 1 road team winning, and the other 3 teams, the home teams, are going to win based on my picks. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and peace.